Morning, everybody. This song is going to be new to you, but it's kind of repetitive, so if you feel like singing along, please do. If you feel like standing, please do. Dance, clap, whatever you want. We'll take all the support we can get, and we send it back to you as well.
Good morning.
Good morning.
After 17 months, that's all that you have. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, how wonderful it is to see all of you in our church house and our spiritual home. It's exciting, and I have to tell you that, thanks to the King Girls, by the way, what a wonderful performance. And while all of that was going on, I have to tell you, I actually was feeling kind of verklempt, and I'm really working out to try to keep things together. So maybe taking care of some housekeeping will help out. I just want to remind everybody to please turn off your cell phones and keep them off for the duration of the service. This will allow us to go through the service without any interruptions. And in addition to welcoming all of you that are here physically present, I want to welcome anybody who might be tuned into us on our YouTube channel today, as this is our maiden voyage to do live streaming from the church. There are a couple of acknowledgments I want to make, and let me start by formally introducing our new music director. Please give a warm welcome to Kitty Kahn. While it would be impossible to name everyone, because there have been so many generous souls who have been involved in the reopening of the church, I would be terribly remiss if I failed to give thanks to Juan Wakerman and special kudos to Rick McKay, who have invested not hours, but days in trying to make things happen today. Thank you, gentlemen. Lastly, as I look out, I see that everybody is masked, which I appreciate, and I really encourage you to observe the protocols, for the COVID protocols that we have put into place in using the restrooms and any other facilities, and maintaining social distance respectfully as much as you possibly can. And we have put into place all of it. Those protocols do include no hugging or physical contact while in the building, so I really, again, ask you to please cooperate with this. And soon I'm going to be inviting our prayer chaplain, two of our prayer chaplains, up to the podium to do the daily word reading. But before we do that, just to develop a consciousness that the world extends way beyond us, and let's just take a few moments of silence, holding prayer, the people in Afghanistan, our servicemen, the citizens of that country who lost their lives this week in that bombing. And let us also hold in prayer the people in Haiti who suffered, in a third world country, just a horrible, devastating earthquake. And let's also keep in mind what is descending upon the city of New Orleans thanks to Hurricane Ida. That hurricane is scheduled to touch ground in just a few hours. So let's just hold them in silence. And so with gratitude, I say thank you, Spirit. And with that, I would like to now invite our prayer chaplains who are in service today to please come to the podium and share with you today's reading of the daily word.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And like Reverend Mike, it's kind of hard to hold the emotions back. It's just so wonderful to be here in this wonderful spiritual home that we have. On behalf of myself and all the chaplains, we are so grateful that we can be here to serve you. As Reverend Jim Blake from Unity Village says, in any situation, prayer is what centers us. It strengthens us and gives us peace. And as we approach the 20th anniversary of this prayer chaplain program here at Unity of Fox Valley, I just want to remind all of you that Wanda Fay, myself, and all the other prayer chaplains who may be sitting out among you or may not be here today, are here to support you for all of your prayer needs, whether after service on Sundays or special services through our monthly calls, or at any time that you feel a need of prayer, you are welcome to give us a call. We have a prayer box that's sitting out to my left over here. And if you have any prayer requests, we welcome you to fill those out and put them in the prayer box so that we can pray over with those requests for 30 days, and then they're sent to Unity Village to be prayed over in the Silent Unity Chapel 24/7 for another 30 days. So again, welcome. We are so blessed.
So I am so happy to be back in person, and I want to say, good morning, good morning, good morning today. How are you now? first day back in person. We're so happy to be here. We hope that you are too. Good morning. Good morning, beautiful people. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning today. How are you? That's from my girlfriend, V. Okay. So today's daily word is awareness. The world feels new as I grow in awareness. Spending time in mindful contemplation increases my awareness of my surroundings. As I concentrate and focus my attention, I shut out distractions and settle my unquiet mind. My world begins to feel brighter, vibrant, and more alive as I notice the soft sounds and minute textures and colors I overlooked before. Spending time in prayer increases my awareness of God's goodness, which I share with others when I am patient and kind, generous and forgiving. This goodness returns to me as kindness and gentleness in the people I meet, and ease and grace in all the places I go. The world has not changed, but I have. My awareness of God in and as my life has opened my eyes and ears, my mind and my heart. And from Psalms 119:18, open my eyes so that I may behold wondrous things out of your law. Awareness. The world feels new as I grow in awareness. Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you, ladies. And now I invite you, if you are aligned to stand and pray and sing the Lord's Prayer. Now for one of the cooler parts of our service, I always think it's time for us to bless our children. So, Ms. Sue Mary, are they coming up? Yes, they are. Bless their children along with their sponsors. Please pray with me now and blessing. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold Christ in you, and know that you are empowered to do great things.
Switch it when you walk off to the middle issue.
It's the light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. It's the light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
doors.
Well, it seems like it's been forever and a day, I have to tell you that. And for those of you who have listened to me over the last few years, you know I always like to open up with a story. But I have to tell you, I have to be honest with you, as I was preparing this talk, a little voice in me said, not today, Mike. Seriously, not today. Because it seems kind of inconsistent to tell some old joke when the theme that we're going with today is all about newness. Behold, I make all things new. That is our message for the day. Behold, I make all things new. And so I have to tell you that as I was working with different people in the church and trying to get things set up for the reopening, I had a mission. I had an agenda. I really want today to somehow be much more than what it was just before we closed the church. And I've made no secret about it. I've told anybody that will listen, I really want to create a sense of newness, a sense of spirit. I really want when people walk in through the doors to have a question in their head, what's it going to look like today? And to break the routine. And if you look around, there's a fair amount of newness that's present here today. You probably drove in and onto our brand spanking new parking lot. And I think delivering a baby elephant might have been easier. But at long last, that's here. It's here. And as you came upstairs, without doubt, you noticed that the chairs are not configured quite the way they used to be, thanks to COVID. And if you check out the prayer room, you will see that thanks to Don Michael, you know, it is beautifully painted and decorated by her hand. Thank you, Donna. We have a new music director. And if you look around, there are some maybe a little modest, but really very beautiful banners hanging up that are brand new. And the platform has been beautifully decorated by people. So all in all, that's a whole lot of newness. And also, of course, I've tampered with the order of service, as you no doubt have noticed. But you know what? It's not enough. I'm greedy. I really want us to be about new today. I want us to experience that feeling, that euphoria, that accelerated exhilaration, okay? And I want you to go back in times in your life when you've had that. And maybe it's something as simple as going to the store, to the mall, and buying a new shirt or buying a new dress, and you can't wait to get it home. Just how it feels, and so there's that whole thing about anticipation that's going on inside of you. And it doesn't have to be that. New shoes, a new hairdo, a new coat of paint. Think back to the time when you may have purchased a new home, a new house, or if you just moved from one apartment to another. And that thrill you felt when you put that key in the door for the first time, and you walked in, and of course the joint was empty, right? But that didn't matter. In fact, that was terrific, because those bare walls and the empty floor, it all became about possibilities. It all became a realization of the new, a realization of what could start in that particular moment with nothing more than thoughts running through your head of what you were going to place where. Same type of thing, right, when you bought a new car. It doesn't even have to be a brand new car, even if it's a new, used car. And the first time you got into that driver's seat and you put your hands on the steering wheel, you said, yeah, this is cool. Okay, because whatever it is, and of course maybe the greatest example was when you welcomed that newborn, or even if it wasn't yours, took the thrill of holding a new life in your arms for just a few minutes. And all of a sudden, the entire world changed. Behold, behold, I made all things new. It doesn't last, you know. A lot of the things that are new today will become old hat to some extent. 6 months from now, or maybe even just a couple of months from now, you're going to pull into that parking lot and you're not going to give a thought to the newness. It's all going to be, what stall, what space should I stick my car in today? The seating is likely to change. You know, the beautiful decorations probably will come down, maybe be replaced by something else. You know, the order of service may shift again. The songs that we sing certainly will be different, and things that we maybe sang for the first time today, if we do them again, might start to become old hat. But you know what? That's okay. In fact, it's better than okay. That's exactly what it is supposed to be. This is precisely what divine order really should look like in our lives. And you know something else? It doesn't detract from the newness that we come together and we celebrate today. Because everything that's new today brings with it a message. Everything that is new as we sit here today hones in on and focuses on a really special characteristic of God. And that is newness. And everything that is different today, it sends a reminder to each and every one of us that life should be about freshness, and it should be about rebirth, and it should be about discovery. And they send the message that Spirit is always calling us to be about those things and to get on board with it all. Because that's the invigoration that newness brings to the table. You know, once in a while, you might hear a conversation, or you may have engaged in a conversation like this yourself, where two people who haven't seen one another for one another, you know, they meet up and one says to the other, "Hey, how you doing? What's new?" And the other person says, "I'm okay." Nothing new, really. "How about you?" And the other guy says, "Yeah, I'm okay too, but yeah, same old, same old." Really? You know, you put two people together that haven't seen each other for days, weeks, months, maybe even years, and they've got nothing going on in their lives. There's no sense of thrill about this has changed, or I'm in this relationship now, or, you know, I got a new car, nothing. And that's because we have this incredible tendency to put things on cruise control, to put things on autopilot. But still, when you think about it, I mean, driving here today, we drove through 2 serious storms. And then we saw the sun come out, and then we saw a rainbow off to the side, and it was like, oh my gosh. And we're just so immersed in the abundance and the splendor of ongoing creation. How is it possible to go a day, a minute, even a moment without just giving honor, giving recognition, giving praise, giving thanks for the newness in our life? And I want to tell you something. If you are in that situation in which you're not able to pick up on noticing anything, it's because you have deliberately, on some level, sealed yourself off from it, closed yourself off from it. I have a term for that. I call it selective blindness. And you might be sitting here and saying, you know, Reverend Mike, that's a little bit harsh, don't you think? You know, maybe a whole lot of judgmental going on there too. Because the truth is, we're dealing with stuff every single day, and maybe multiple times during the day. And not just routine stuff like I got to take the garbage out for pickup tonight or things like that, but really serious issues going on in our life. And honestly, I get it. I get it, I understand. You know, I have a few balls in the air, you know, almost always two. And so when it really, really, really breaks loose, it's kind of understandable. You know, we're in a kind of a quasi-panic, and it's just really hard to keep focused and keep incorporating and putting God into the equation of everything that's going on. And so when God shows up, even when we're actually reaching out to God and praying, show me the way, because I'm hurting, show me the way. Even when we do that, we can end up missing things. And I think a real reason why we miss things in those situations is because we are tapping in to a God that was. We're tapping into a God of yesteryear. And in doing so, we have difficulty seeing and recognizing the God that is immediately in front of us, the God that is a God of newness and new awareness and new possibilities. And so we miss the boat, and we continue to dwell in the muck and in the mire. I have shared the very first time that I was on this platform that I have been a lifelong Cub fan. Okay? And just to take you back a bit, when I was a boy, and I'm talking 5 or 6 years old, every opportunity I could, I tuned in to WGN-TV to see my beloved Cubbies. And this went on for years. Okay, now, in recent times, well, now they have their own television station, for goodness sake. But before they had that, in more modern, all of the games are not on Channel 9 anymore. You know, the Cubs were showing up on weird stations like Sports Vision and Fox and ESPN and all, and even occasionally on ABC. What was that about? So I would turn on the television and I would immediately go to Channel 9. And there's some info commercial going on, for God's sakes. And, you know, I'm exaggerating it. Where are my Cubs? Just where are my Cubs at this time? And so I would go through the menu and try to find them and all that, and it was all very frustrating. And why am I telling you this story? Because it relates to what I just said a little bit earlier. You know, sometimes when we're seeking God on an old channel, on an older level of awareness and consciousness. We're seeking the God that, again, is back there. And not a God that is right in front of us. Not a God that is there offering love and counsel and wisdom and still yet increasing awareness. And you might say, you know what? What's the big deal? Why can't we go back, you know, and use those channels that we used to use? And you know what? Really, honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. Except that in tuning into those channels, you are taking with you an awareness and a consciousness that maybe has become just a little bit stale. And so maybe what you're going to get going backwards is a lot of reruns that you've already lived in some way, shape, or form in your everyday lives. In the epistle, the letter to the Hebrews, the author calls the people that he's writing to out. And he tells them basically in chapter 6, you can go read it if you like, hey, you guys are stuck. You guys are mired. The only God that you know is the God of law. Things are different now. If you want to know God, if you want to have a relationship with God, you have to kind of break the mold and understand that we've moved on and that we're now dealing and we're in a relationship with a God that is about things like forgiveness. And a God that's not whimsical. And a God that is nurturing. A God that is caring. A God that is compassionate. A God that is loving. But they were stuck. And so he wrote that letter to try to wake them up just a little bit. We all carry with us our own personal preconceived notion of what God looks like. And we relate to that according to what is part of our awareness and our psyche. And more than that, we have a preconceived notion what the love of God is supposed to look like. Okay? And if it doesn't fit within the parameters that we have developed back then sometime, then we cheat ourselves. By refusing to grow, by being unwilling to look at the moment in front of us, the immediacy in front of us, the beauty, the splendor, the spirit, the God in front of us. We cheat ourselves. We do the same thing with one another, by the way. We all have a preconceived notion about what love from somebody else looks like. You don't bring me any gifts. You don't bring me any flowers. Where's the diamonds? Okay? You don't love me. And we're way more discriminating than that, okay? I don't know. You don't like the things I like to watch. You read books that are strange. I never read those kinds of books. That I never heard of them before. You know what? You don't love me. You go away. We do this all of the time because our resistance just locks in, and change is really, really difficult. Change is really tough. If you read and go through the Hebrew in Christian scriptures, it's not a tough discovery to come to the discovery that, that God that was in Genesis doesn't look like, the God way over here at the tail end of the Christian scriptures. Something's gone on here. God no longer is sending Moses to solve our problems, and God's no longer leading us through the desert to solve our problems. And God's no longer taking us out of exile from Babylon. And then 500 to 1,000 years after those particular stories were written, somebody called Jesus is on the scene. And now Jesus is showing us the way. And in unity we make that claim. Jesus is our way shower. But the question is, why? Why didn't Jesus just show up from the get-go and, dump all of this on Moses for it? Why? Because we were ready for it. Because the world, at least in a significant part, truly was ready for that Christ awareness, for that Christ consciousness, to be more deeply embedded, to be more significantly inculcated in who and what we are, that we were no longer, babies. We were no longer children that understood things in terms of punishment. Behold, I make all things new. God created the world in 6 days, so the Bible tells us. And on the seventh day, God rested. And it kind of leaves it hanging there. It never goes on to say what happened on the seventh day, the eighth day, the ninth day, or the 20,642nd day. But we know that living in 2021, things are not the same. You know, we look at the world that we're living in, and notwithstanding all of the conflict and the foibles and the tension, it's obvious that the process of creation did not stop on that sixth day. It was not a one and done deal. It's going on every second of every day. And each and every one of us, each and every one of you, whether you know it or not, you are a part of growing that creative consciousness. You are here to create. And actually, the whole notion that God could be different, or God could be seemingly changing anyway, is not a new one. Because I'll take you back to a really old book of the Old Testament, the book of Leviticus, and I have to share this with you. In that book, God sends a message to his people. He says, you will be eating last year's harvest, and you will have to move it out to make room for the new. There's a ton of metaphysics in there. That's really powerful. Because basically what it's saying is God's not stagnant. God's not static. God's dynamic. God is that energy, that spiritual, divine energy is flowing all of the time. The abundance is always at us. The love is coming to us, toward us, at us. And spirit is just everywhere, and we are immersed for it. And we have to be ready for it when it comes, and we might have to take that meal that we're really enjoying right now and push it aside because there's something better. There's something better. In Paul's letter to the Corinthians, a passage that we're all familiar with, and I hope I don't mess it up. Paul said, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. When I was a child, I understood as a child. When I was a child, I thought like a child. But now I'm a man, and I think like a man, and I put all of that childish stuff away. Does that mean that the relationship that he had as a child with God, with Spirit, that it was flawed in some way? No, it was absolutely perfect. It was absolutely complete and perfect. But there was a newness right around the corner. Something else for Paul to discover. And the same is true as our consciousness, our awareness grows and matures in some way, shape, or form. It's really a very, very meaningful scripture passage. I have to get a little bit weird. And don't say, how can I tell the difference? Because I want to say something that to me is really fascinating and maybe difficult to understand because it's so weird. But as we make our way through this miracle, this gift of life that we share, our biggest obstacles, our scariest roadblocks, never lie in what is in front of us. I see at least a couple of them, huh? So let me repeat it. Our biggest obstacles and our scariest roadblocks never are what is in front of us. In fact, it's just the opposite. They always are what was. So if you're having some sense of fear about a new relationship or an existing relationship, if you're having doubts about your job, your position, your circumstances at work, your position in life, your overall prosperity, if you're living in terror about a pending medical condition, all of those feelings and hundreds more like them, all of them are what was from before. No exceptions. And so if all of those feelings are what was from before, well, I guess it makes a lot of sense if we're going to reach out to God or Spirit for help. We're probably going to go to the God or Spirit that was from before. But what I want to share with you, and this is really tough to wrap your heads around emotionally, in the worst roadblocks, the scariest roadblocks that confront us, as we deal with them. And there's some pretty horrible ones, like for example, what if you lose somebody, one way or another, lose somebody that you absolutely love in your life? If we can just move over just a little bit even, manage to embrace, engage with, recognize the newness that is immediately before us, that will block all roadblocks. Then become opportunities. Because that's what newness always brings. That's what newness is all about. You know, we don't get, try as we might, we don't get to outline with precision what our relationship with God looks like. Why would we want to? Not my will, but your will be done. What is the sense of trying to dress up something and maintain control over something of which we have no control? And all that we really have to do is hang on to our relationship with God, our relationship with Spirit. And all we have to do is keep in mind and remember the divine love with which we are held, and then get out of the way. You know, and truly let go and let God define it. Lay out the details for us. Think about it. There's no need for us to make up stories, to invent things. There's no need for us to try to dictate what the redemption from our personal monsters is going to look like. We just have to be willing to embrace the newness. Behold, I make all things new. Everybody has a commercial on television that they absolutely hate, and I have one. I'm going to share that with you right now. I'm sure that some of you, probably all of you have seen them, because boy, have they been over the screens for the last, TV screens for the last 6 months. And I'm talking about the ABC commercials. Okay? And the format is always the same. There's no hot water. I'll call ABC. Then it's done. There's no power in the house. I'll call ABC. Then it's done. Every single time the commercial follows that same routine, scenario, scenario, scenario. There's a problem, I'll call ABC. And then there's that affirmation. Then it's done. So why am I talking about this? All right, I'm going to tell you something. You don't have cold water in your house, and you think that you can fix it by yourself? You go for it. Is there a light shortage in the house or something that, there's no electricity in the house, and you think you've got this? You have at it. I think that's wise. But let me tell you something else. If you are buried up to your neck and having trouble breathing because of the monumental things that you have to deal with in your life, and depression and angst and addictions and everything else, if it's your heart that is broken and needs fixing, if it's your soul that is crying out and longing for something new, some relief, call God. Call Spirit. Behold, I make all things new. Then it's done. It really makes work. There is a definite reoccurring theme in the scriptures. The Hebrew scriptures, the Christian scriptures, the Quran, in fact. And that is that God never goes away. God never abandons us. And so God rescued us from captivity in Egypt. And God nurtured us and took care of us as we wandered through the desert. And God reached out a hand and brought us out of exile in Babylon. And God cured us of our leprosy. And when we couldn't see, God cured us of our blindness and restored our sight. And when our legs were hobbled and broken and crippled, God got us back on our feet and told us to walk. And whether we know it or not, the news just is incredible because God also raised us from the dead. The newness doesn't stop. It goes on and on and on. If you're in a routine that, yesterday looked like 4 months ago, you gotta have a sit down with your talk. Sit down with yourself and have a talk with yourself. Because, you need to come alive. A very trusted resource of mine told me that that word, behold, appears in the scriptures 1,298 times. That's a lot of times, okay? And the word behold actually can have a few different meanings. It might be saying like, the time is now. It might be saying, be careful. It might be saying, wake up. It might be saying, aware. In the modern day jargon, it might be saying, hey, listen up here. All of those are valid. And there's one more meaning that word behold can mean, and that shift is if you are the speaker of the word instead of listening to the word, because in that case, it becomes an affirmation. So that tiny bit of script from the Bible comes from the book of Revelation. Behold, I make all things new. And the words for that phrase in the book of Revelation came from the mouth of the Christ. Well, unity is, we're unity, but we're also part of a new thought movement. And we boldly dare to affirm that Christ essence is a significant part of who and what we are. That Christ essence dwells deep within each and every one of us. And so part of the newness that I'm selling you today, don't just passively greet it even. Because if it's really true, and we really have God within us, if we really have that Christ essence within us, not only do we have to recognize the newness, not only do we have to accept the newness, now we have to be the newness. I hope you enjoyed seeing the things that we knew in our church today. Not just because people, really worked hard to make it happen, but I hope that it struck a chord with you, that in some way it resonated within you. And if not, look around. And if not at church today, when you go outside, look at the blue skies, look at people's eyes. You can still do that even if they're wearing masks. And don't just see the newness. Present yourself as the newness in all of those situations. And say, I get it. I claim it. I am an instrumental part of the ongoing process of creation. Thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit, for trusting me. You might say, what am I supposed to do? Just try it. Just try loving someone. Just try caring for someone. If we're having a tough time getting tuned into spirit these days, maybe it is on a different channel. And, going back to that whole Cub thing, I got announcements that the Cubs were not going to be on WGN. They were going to be on some other crazy station. And the announcements from Spirit come to us all of the time. And maybe the announcements take the form of, you know what, if you really want to get closer to me, pour yourself into all of your relationships. Don't mail it again. If you really want to know me better, wake up in the morning and have a deeper consciousness of everything that's going on in the world and how much people are hurting and suffering, and find a way to show up. If you want to be in solid communion with me and in a shared oneness in a very positive way, in everything you do, regardless of how trivial and mundane it may feel to you at the time, try to develop that mindfulness that it's all God, it's all the Father. And then pray that affirmation. Behold, I make all things new. And then it's done. We're now going to take this to prayer and meditation. And Jan, would you come forward? As usual, we are going to start with a song, and we have a special treat. Reverend Jan Little, who spent 14 years of her life dedicated to bringing newness and nurturing and care and love to his congregation. I asked her if she would come and do the meditation for us today, and she did. So with that, you could start the music.
And so we take this time to relax into this very sacred part of our Sunday service. And so just very gently take into those chairs that hold you. Know that you are in a safe and sacred place. And so as you gently breathe in and out, you become aware of any tension in your body. And after this year or two that we've had, our body needs to just relax. So let go of any tensions. And so just very gently become aware of any tightness in your jaw, or neck, or shoulders. And move through your body and just relax. Gently breathing in and out. Being open to the healing work of Spirit in and through you. The healing work of Spirit working in and through this spiritual family. Behold, I will make all things new. The words, the promise, for us if we just stop take a moment to connect. To center ourselves in all the power and presence of the universe, which is God. Peace. Be still. Behold, I will make all things new. Let my words be the words of your own heart. As you gently relax even further into this time. Behold, I, the Christ of thee, make all things new. That Christ consciousness of infinite possibility. That Christ awareness of infinite good, of infinite creativity and imagination. That I of me, that Christ of me, can create anything, can imagine anything, can heal anything. That infinite power of the universe can remove all obstacles. Make all things new. I stop and connect with that Christ consciousness, which is my higher self, which is my power. What can I dream? What can I imagine? What no longer serves? What can I forgive? What can I let go of to make room for the new work and new healing of spirit? Behold, I, that Christ consciousness, can create a new heaven, a new earth, a new world, a new way of being. And so knowing that truth of who we truly are, we move into a time of silence where we can let Spirit move in and through us, doing the healing work of the Christ within. sons. And so we gently bring ourselves back to this time and this place, knowing that as we move forward into our day, into our lives, into our relationships, and into our work, we have the power of Christ working in and through us. And we say, thank you, sweet Spirit. Amen and amen.
Thank you, Reverend Jack. I've missed you. I really, really, really have missed you. We're going to pick things up now again with a new song. And so you're invited to join in and sing as you learn the melody. With our music team today, and the song is Everything New.
Through crying
Now it's time of our service for our offering. I noticed that nobody's passing the basket because we're doing something new and different. We have a collection basket that's set up just outside. We tried to make it large enough that you might have to trip over it. But we invite you to please place your offerings into that basket. And there's even a small basket for your loose change, if you have any, that helps support our youth program. So please join me in praying our abundance affirmations. God is my instant, constant, abundant source of supply. Divine love flowing through us blesses and multiplies all the good that we are, we have, we give, and we receive. Now we're going to do something new. I'm going to ask all of you to please rise. We're soon going to be praying our prayer for protection, for which you will stand anyway. But before we do that, I'm going to ask all of you lovely people that are on this side to turn to your left, and I'm going to ask these lovely people to turn to their right, and we are going to confer upon one another our congregational unity blessing. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold Christ in you, and know that you are empowered to do great things. And now join in praying our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so right after our peace song, we go outside. We don't have the meals that we used to have 18 months ago, but we do have a special treat outside and coffee. Okay? So let's do our peace song.